言うことは一つだけ。絶対負けねえ。絶対に守ってみせる。正真正銘のバルカン砲だ。
How's it going, everyone? This is Nothing Excess with a new player analysis video. We got here the Ramadan Kareem Dream Transfer. That involves Marco Owairan and Vulcan. Also, we've got a new Matsuyama. I guess. I mean, it's not a new Matsuyama. They tried buffing an old Matsuyama, and I guess we'll talk about that at some point. But first off, let's just get to the players that you're actually interested in, which are Owairan and Vulcan. Starting off, we got Marco Owairan, the elaborate defense leader. If you were still unsure whether we were in a blue meta or not, then let me bring you some news. Yes, Owairan is making it even stronger. Particularly potent player that allows some really interesting teams to be put together, he currently excels in a Blue Japan formation, where despite not likely receiving very high buffs for himself, he'll still be incredibly strong due to his powerful complement of hidden abilities and passive. Also, his hidden abilities and passive help to make him scary in matchups outright, with the ability to block a shooting special skill from an opposing attacker outright with his special skill block passive, and also giving Blue Japan a frankly horrifying plus 2% additional stats. Frankly, Hyuga and Ken have never really felt this massive. They feel more massive than they did before. They were already pretty big. Pros plus 2% to Blue Asian players and a solid shooting special skill block, along with 50% Insight Master and a decent blocking skill and 10.4k block stats. 9.1k tackle and 9.6k intercept round out the package, along with good skill support. He has a good team skill and he has great stamina. Now, cons, he's kind of offensively non-existent. He'll have trouble dumping the ball off. Despite being very desirable for Blue Japan, he'll usually get 12 to 70% team skill buffs for that team and very, very few hidden ability buffs. That does limit his actual effectiveness in a match. Block momentum is not amazing, but it's fine enough for what he needs to do. Anyways, he is a defender. His roles are defense and buffer. I rate him an S. I maybe would go for broke for him, depending on whether you're anywhere close to the archetype. If you're not, he's not that necessary, unless you... There's a couple archetypes you could work in, but primarily it's an All Japan archetype or a Blue Japan archetype. Limit break to 2203 tackle speed, 2525 block power, and 2203 intercept technique. Now for his hidden abilities, he's got My Team All Stats +1 and +2. The Asian players get +2 and Blue players get +1. You can see why it's incredibly powerful, right? Because considering that Blue Japan is the strongest team currently in the meta. Also, it helps him to fit, oddly enough, into weird Rainbow Japan builds. So this is really one way for him to be pretty great, pretty strong in basically Blue Japan teams, is the 3% that he gives them and himself. Comes with Auto Block Enhance. I rated an A. 80% activation rate is great, but Auto Block is pretty bad altogether. That said, it's particularly a K against long distance shots, so it's actually not absolutely awful. It's just really not that useful. Very few players nowadays use long distance shooting. Maybe only like Green Storm or Resurrection, but even then you would have rather had Stand Firm, right? Bumping Ground Resistance, I rated a C, whatever, PvE stuff. Special Skill Block. Disable an opponent's special shooting skill as long as it's a ground shot. It's really wildly good when it was introduced on a unit that really isn't all that good, which was the old Red Robson, and that made the old Red Robson quite nice, particularly with his buffs also, or the buffs that he gives. It's part of what made him actually kind of valuable. On this unit, who's already good, is actually crazy strong. Anyways, for his stats, he's got 1115 stamina. As you can see, his stats are pretty loaded on the defensive side. That means that while his offensive stats are all in the 7.3 range, he has 9.1k tackle, 10.4k block, and 9.6k intercept. Nothing doing about the high or low ball, so he's not great against aerial attackers, but it is what it is. For a skill build, S cross block, A calculated interception, and S cross defense. Upgrade the A cross defense if you can. If not, leveling up to A1's fine. And also find A precise pass for him and A rolling dribble. Your offensive options aren't particularly great, and you're just using them to make sure you don't get randomly crushed if you get into a bad matchup. All three of your defensive skills have decent stats behind them to really give them some juice, so you'll have plenty of power to be able to do well with your three skills. You really only have to worry about your interception and your tackle in a matchup because of the special skill blocking shots. Anyways, unless it's in the air or the forward has a way to ignore skill blocks, you're just gonna be able to force them to pick whether it's gonna be a pass or a dribble. So remember that. Next up, we've got Vulcan, Saudi Arabia's main scorer. It's the first green Vulcan, and it's also probably the strongest. He's a competent dribbler and a pretty strong shooter. He's even stronger when he's subbed in late in the game due to his super sub passive. He's got a 465 momentum 3 blow away S shot, a good 455 volley, and a 455 header. The header which comes with a 25% bonus because of the high ball bonus. There's just plenty of ways that Vulcan can score. Now, he is Asian, so it's not that easy to get him on a high level of shot compared to some other green players on green teams, but he's just overall a pretty solid player for a color that used to be mostly starved for great scoring. If he was good for the entire match, he'd be actually quite great, but he's still nice even then. Pros is an 11.8k shooter with 9.7k dribble and 8k pass, and even better in the second half as long as you don't start him, as long as he comes into the sub. He has an S shot for every occasion, and his ground shot's quite good with 3 blowaways, and he's quite strong in the air. Cons is only really good for half a match, no real defense to speak of, but he isn't really required to defend, so it's fine. He has really bad stamina, which is kind of par for the course for some of these super subs. For his limit break, I would do speed 25, shot power 25, and pass technique 22-3. He is a forward striker, his role is a striker, and I would rate him an S. Also same as Owairan, but the go for broke here is maybe not more than maybe so. I don't think he's that important to green teams. He's just nice to have, but he's not urgent. For his stamina, 864, kind of low, but as you can see, his dribble and his shot are pretty high, and his technique is not terrible, and that does result in 9.7k dribble, 11.8k shot, and 8k pass. As you can see, his next highest stat after that, or his highest defensive stat, is block. That's because his power is 8.5k, which is pretty wild. Now, if you super sub him, as you can see, his stats are much higher, 11.2k dribble, 13.6k shot, and 9.3k pass. None of that is bad, and once you limit break, it's going to be even wilder. So fully limit broken, he is quite dangerous in the second half. Now for skill build, he comes with S full power Vulcan cannon, a great skill. Again, 3 blowaways and 465. S genie header, S headed in, both pretty okay. A power dribble, is you can find it on an SR version, and a genie pass also on an SR version. Not a lot of science to this guy. You give him a high ball in the box and you let him work his magic, or you give it to him right outside of the box and you let him run it in and try for a full power Vulcan cannon. Basically, just give him the ball and let him shoot like the angry genie he is. Finally, we've got Hikaru Matsuyama, Japan's heart. This guy has less heart than Misugi has in this latest chapter of Rising Sun. Listen, he wasn't particularly good before, with incredibly aggressively mediocre stats, none of which were impressive. It hasn't changed, okay? No amount of stat buffs outside of giving a full 1,000 to each thing were really going to save him, and they played it a lot more safe than that and just gave him 600 to everything. His hit abilities aren't great, his passive isn't particularly good, his team skill is fine but unnecessary, and he legitimately has 2 PvE hidden abilities for some reason. I thought the K-Lab got over hating Matsuyama, but I guess not. Pros, he's got rain puddle resistance, which makes him decent for some PvE missions, and he debuffs Europeans by 2%, and he has a lot of stamina. Cons, there's an entire cadre of versions of Matsuyama that are more worth running than this guy. He spends lots of stamina doing absolutely nothing useful. He is a defensive midfielder, his role is to debuff and utility. I rate him a D, I wouldn't go for broke, and I wouldn't limit break him. Now, if you have to limit break him, just do the standard, I just went with the standard offense one, because, I don't know, I don't want to give this Matsuyama more thought than I have to. He's really average at everything. Almost every limit break you can give him is fine. I don't know why you would give him limit break materials, because his main skill is a shot, but he's bad at it, and giving him skills feels like a waste of special skill removal cards. I don't know. Whatever. Mid-area master, A. 5% when he's somewhere in the midfield, but which wouldn't be bad, but he's not bad. But he's bad, so whatever. Combination Misugi, same thing. 5% with Misugi on the team. Not a bad skill, but he's not good enough to use it, so whatever. He has 2 PvE skills, bumpy ground resistance and rain puddle resistance. Whatever. And then the good part, which is opponent stats minus 2%, which would be nice. It debuffs Europeans by 2%. It'd be worth to carry him for this if he wasn't this bad. Unfortunately, he is that bad. As you can see his stats, the only good thing he's got is stamina. His best stat is 8.7k pass, and everything else is in the 7s. Even though he is an Insight Master player, his Insight Master... Actually, no, he's not even an Insight Master player. He gets non-Japan player killer. Like... Skill build, just use him to feed Eagle Shot to another version of Matsuyama that you'd rather play. There's no reason to keep this version around except for PvE stuff. Yeah, I can't believe I dedicated any amount of time to this player. I could have been doing literally anything else. So, there is that. Well guys, thank you all for checking out this video. If you enjoyed what you saw, please go ahead and click the like button and leave a comment telling me what you think of these players or of the video. If you want to see more videos like this, make sure to check out the rest of the channel, and if you would like to know when I upload new content, don't forget to subscribe and click the little bell icon to be notified of when new videos or posts are made. If you would like to monetarily support the channel, you can leave me a one-off tip by clicking on the Streamlabs link in the description, or you can join my Patreon community to enjoy the unique benefits available to my Patreon subscribers by following the Patreon link below. Thank you guys for checking this out, and thank you all to my Patreon subscribers, my patrons, for helping support. They are all listed here, and many of them, actually none of them have left, so thank you all. Thanks guys again for all of your support. I hope to see you all soon.